Okay, we have here with us today in our career exploration project, the business development representatives for Love's Travel Shops. We have with us Shawn Murphy. Shawn, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, Brian?
Good, good. Thanks for coming on here and talking about your career. So, just the first thing, I guess, just to talk about your role, what it is, what you do, and any jobs in the past that you may have had that may have helped lead to this.
Sure. So everybody, or most everybody, knows Love's Travel Stops for what we are known for, which are stores where you can go and buy gasoline, snacks, diesel fuel if you're a trucking company. The entity of Love's that I represent is called Love's Financial. We're under the same umbrella as Love's, but the service that I sell is called freight factoring. And what that is a way for small to mid-sized trucking companies to get paid quickly for the loads they haul, as opposed to having to wait the normal 30 to 45, even up to 60 days that a lot of their customers take to pay them. So we will pay them next day, take a small fee, and then their customer is responsible for paying us back. So if you're a small company, it's a really good way to keep cash flow moving so you can pay your insurance, you can pay your fuel bills, you can pay your drivers, and just keep business moving throughout your company and to keep it operating and profitable. As far as careers that I have had in the past that kind of prepared me this, I started my career in trucking and transportation and logistics probably around 6 years ago now, where I've held a multitude of roles within that. I've sold trucking equipment, both trucks and trailers. I've sold digital solutions that were freight matching tools. I was a freight factoring rep for another entity as well. I've worked briefly on the insurance side of things for trucking companies. So my industry knowledge is pretty well rounded in trucking. And this was just a really good opportunity for me to move forward with an awesome company like Love's and advance my career.
I think one of the things that, people don't realize is how detailed the logistics business is. I mean, I think a lot of times you think of it overall in a big picture sense of stuff, truck, stuff goes on truck, stuff goes to other place, person with clipboard marking where this goes, here's the paper, see you later. But there's like so much more to it. I mean, was it kind of surprising to you to see all that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a very good point. And I think a lot of times we take for granted the work that trucks do in this country. Go back to March when people were hoarding toilet paper, right? Because of COVID. You go to the store normally, and anything that you are picking up off of that shelf came by a truck at some point. Yeah. So the details that you mentioned that go into a movement of finished good to good on store shelf, and then you purchase said good, it's a very intricate dance, and a lot of pieces have to line up really well. There's a lot of communication that these fleets have to take with their customers, vice versa. Sometimes there are intermediaries called brokers who work with a direct shipper and a trucking fleet, and they kind of play matchmaker in that regard. So there's a lot of communication. A lot of things have to go right in order for shipments to happen effortlessly. And a lot of times, even when those things go right, things like Mother Nature or a global pandemic take over, and the industry is kind of at the mercy of those things. So yeah, it was very eye-opening for me to see all of the aspects that go into just taking for granted going in to a store and picking up a bag of M&Ms, right? Mm-hmm. It's there's a lot that really goes into it, and there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that unless you're in the industry, no one's ever really going to see.
All right. So what kind of education or training was there required to get this job, or any kind of like personal skills that you have?
So my undergrad degree is in biology. And obviously, I'm doing a lot with that undergrad degree in the trucking and transportation industry right now. But as far as training, there was a little bit of on-the-job training. My industry experience definitely helped me to get this job. But if you're going into any type of role, and this is where I think sales jobs really can't be trained for. You can take classes and go to seminars and things like that to try and hone some of your hard skills in setting appointments and closing deals and things like that. But sales positions, there's really not a lot of training for. The most successful sales folks that I see have a really good soft set of skills. So if you are a type of person who is outgoing, who doesn't mind picking up the phone and talking to strangers for a couple hours a day, or sending emails to somebody you absolutely do not know, trying to get them to buy your good or service that you're selling, this is something that would be a good position for you. Most successful sales individuals that I've ever encountered, they're more extroverted as opposed to introverted, because you have to be comfortable getting outside of, I guess, your normal comfort zone and talking to strangers, picking up the phone and calling someone who has a name that you might not be able to pronounce or speaks a different language primarily than you do. Those are things that are foreign to us by nature, just because of who we are. But you have to be comfortable with that and just kind of throw caution to the wind and say, well, I know they have my competitor's service offering right now. I want to know why they have my competitors and not mine, and just pick up the phone and dial. So the training, it's on the job. It's learning different systems that the company uses and things like that. But to be a successful salesperson, I think you really just have to be an extroverted individual, and you have to be very comfortable with being told no. You are going to get told no 1,000 times more than you are going to get told yes.
Yeah.
As a sales professional. So being okay with rejection is something that you have to have. You have a little bit of a tough skin.
Sometimes you just get the old Mutombo finger wave, huh?
Yeah, that's no. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that has happened in my life. I can kind of hear people doing it over the phone, and I've had fingers wagged in my face as well. So it all kind of comes full circle.
It's probably kind of weird sometimes, but I'm sure you don't forget that. And if people see the finger getting waved in your face, they probably don't let you forget it either.
Yeah, but there's an interesting concept to that, right? It's what I like to refer to, and it's referred to a lot in sales as the boomerang effect. And it's just, you have to have the mindset of no doesn't mean no forever. No just means no right now. So down the line, 6 months, a year, what have you, that the needs of that business can change. Someone else may be in charge of making that decision now, 6 months down the road when you check in, and they want to hear what you have to say, and they think it's a good idea. So a lot of times those things, boomerang, can just come right back around, and you'll get business out of it. So you have to be persistent as well.
Yeah. So what led you to this line of work, or this industry and all that?
So getting into trucking and transportation and logistics was really never something that I had planned on doing, honestly. Sorry about that. I was working for a company where I was actually using my biology background and selling toxicology services to physicians within about a 3-state region. Got a call one day that we needed to jump on a conference call for that company. And when I got on the call, I found out they were shutting the company down in 10 days. So yeah, had a small human child at home that we obviously had to take care of. Yeah. And I needed income. I needed a job. Never thought that this would turn into more of a career path that I've taken now. So I made some calls to a couple of friends of mine who were working for a company based out of Indianapolis. And they gave me a chance, and it has now led to this where I am now. So by, I guess, the fate of one company going completely under, I fell into trucking and transportation, and I love it. I really enjoy what I'm doing. It was completely by happenstance that I got into this field, but I grew up in a very rural area in Indiana. And a lot of the folks that I speak with, again, and I'm working primarily with smaller fleets. It's like I'm calling up a cousin or an uncle and just shooting the breeze with them. And it's a really tight-knit industry that is spread all over the country, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is very, very big within this industry. And if you do a good job for someone, that's going to lead to further referrals for you down the line. So yeah. I love it. It's awesome.
And so you talked a little earlier about what kind of person would be good for this job, like persistent, personable, and just able to kind of see the big picture, which just in the short time I've sat here and talked to you, and you seem like a personable and persistent guy. So I don't know. I mean, maybe if I would know you longer, then it would be different, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So what type of person would like not be good for this position, or this, maybe even the logistics business as a whole?
If you're a person that wants to come into work every day and do the exact same thing, I would tell you that trucking and transportation is not for you. If you're the type of person who wants to come in at 8 o'clock and work until 5 o'clock and then just be done with work for the day, trucking and transportation is probably not for you. So it's very fast paced. It's constantly moving. And you have to be, at least in my role, you have to be receptive to the time that your customers and or prospects have. If you're working with a one person, one truck operation, that person is the driver of that truck. They're the CEO of the company. They are the accountant. They're human resources, although there's probably never going to be any HR violations since, they own it.
Yeah.
But they wear a lot of hats, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. So when you call them at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, they may not be available, but they may be available at 9 o'clock later that night when they're done driving for the day, and they've stopped at probably a Love's Travel Stops to fuel up, grab some food, and rest.
Big Love's.
Yeah, that's right. See, yeah, I had to plug the company there a little bit. But yeah, so if they might return your phone call then, and
right.
It might be the only chance you get to talk with them for another 2 days. So, having email alerts and text alerts and your phone actually not on vibrate and on the ring, it annoys my wife sometimes, but it's one of the things that I have to do for work, and obviously keep my part of the money coming in for the family. One of the things I guess that I would give as a piece of advice is that if you are not good at budgeting your time as a person, and that this is going to trickle all the way down to someone who currently is in high school, if you're not very good at budgeting your time and spending time on things that are important each and every day and making sure that you get those tasks completed, the sales aspect of trucking and transportation is probably not going to be for you. And I would probably venture into saying that any sales role is not going to be good for you, because as a sales rep or a sales professional, your most valuable asset is your time and how you spend it. So, are you more inclined into what's going on in social media, or are you more inclined into making phone calls, doing emails, reaching out to prospects, checking up on your customers, and making sure that they're being, taken care of as well? So time management, if you have good time management skills, I would say that a role within the sales profession would be probably a good fit.
Okay. And yeah, even like you were talking about earlier in logistics, I mean, you don't know what Mother Nature is going to be like. Just because you work in Indiana and it's April or May and it's 80 and sunny doesn't mean that in North Dakota they're getting a big old blizzard coming through. So that's probably also, you've got to be very flexible time-wise.
Absolutely. And I ran into that earlier this week. I kind of made a mess up, and I was calling into, it was, cloudy and overcast here in Indiana, but the area in which I was calling, they had just been hit with snow. And I was getting no responses on the phone. And finally it hit me. Oh, they probably don't have time to talk because they're busy scrambling, trying to figure out how to get trucks to destinations on times, make sure that pickups and drop-offs are being hit. They probably don't want to talk to me right now. So understanding all of the dynamics that go into those things is important.
Okay. And then how can someone prepare for this, and any kind of advice that you may have for someone?
I think if, and I don't know if Franklin Community offers any courses that relate to professional development or anything like that, but if you're interested in a sales career and you find yourself a little bit more of an extroverted individual, you enjoy talking to people, you enjoy talking to strangers, you get excited when when you seal a deal, I guess, or anything like that, then I would tell you to shadow somebody in the profession, whether it's someone, and there are various different types of sales roles. There are inside sales roles where those people they work in an office building and they do not travel outside to see customers. The vast majority of that work is conducted by phone and email. There are folks like myself who are outside sales representatives, where I spend about a week in my home office trying to set appointments for the next week, and then I spend a week traveling in front of people. So I would tell you to shadow both inside and outside sales representatives to see which one of those is a better fit for you. And there's no shame in either, right? If you like to travel and get out and see various parts of the country a little bit, an outside role is probably going to be better for you. But if you're fully confident and comfortable in making a bunch of phone calls, sending a bunch of emails, and still closing sales business, you might be better off as an inside sales rep. Right. So I think job shadowing an individual who has my profession, whether it's in transportation and trucking or the medical field or technology or anything like that, pick those folks' brains. See if you can do a job shadow, or at least try and engage in an email conversation with them, potentially try and set up some type of mentorship as well. Internships, even at a high school level, I think are incredibly valuable. And your students will probably find that if they find folks who are in my field, that we're pretty open to sharing our days with some of those folks. So find a sales mentor if you're really excited about going into this, and try and do some internships, even if it's 4 hours at a time, 4 hours a week, maybe even. I think those things would be valuable, and you'll find out early on in your life if this is something that you want to continue doing.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice right there. Just get that experience, and if it's something that you want to do. Final question, any kind of advice that you have for high school kids, as someone who was a high school kid, 10 years ago?
Multiplied by a couple, but
okay.
I appreciate that. I just got a haircut yesterday. That must be
okay. Man, you're like in your late 30s? No, you're in your early 30s.
Mid.
Oh, okay.
Mid.
Just recently in the mids?
I turned 37 this year, so.
Anyway.
Not yet.
Anyway, any advice that you have for high school kids, just overall?
Oh man, that's
I didn't write that one on you. I didn't put that on the sheet.
Yeah, no, that's okay. This
you don't have anything,
and having to think quickly on my feet. I would tell you to experience a lot of different things as far as career paths go in college, and don't restrict yourself to what societal norms tell you to do. I will tell you. So when I graduated just a few years ago from high school, I was of the mindset that if you are not a college-bound person, you are not going to be successful in life. And now, as a man of a certain age, I find myself completely recanting on that statement. There is so much value to be had in vocational programs where you can learn a trade, pardon me, at a young age and go directly into the workforce afterwards. There's definitely merit in going into a college-bound program if you know exactly what you want to do at a young age. And there's merit in going into those programs even if you don't. If you do go to college, just know that it's okay to change your major. You know, if you go and you say, I want to be a physician, I want to be a doctor, and you start to take your, you know, all of your science courses, your biology and your chemistry, and you're on a pre-med track, and then you realize a year and a half into it that you don't like it, it's okay to change and move to business or psychology or something like that. And don't let anybody tell you that it's not. So I would tell high school students, find something that you are passionate about at a young age and pursue it with everything that you have. And don't be scared that, or don't be, I guess, intimidated by people telling you that you can't change your mind.
Right.
If you go into vocational school for building trades and you start building a home with the building trades team at vocational school, and you're on a job site and you hate every single day that you're there, maybe that's not right for you, and that's okay. But there's so much merit to be found with individuals who are not college bound. And I can't state that enough, because I was one of those people. And the reason because of that is because my high school counselors pounded that basically into our heads. You had two options. You're going to go to college or you're going to go to the military. And those were your two paths to success. My school, for whatever reason, looked at our vocational programs as, those kids are probably just going to go, you know, get a construction job or become an electrician and never make anything of their lives. Could not be more wrong. So I've learned to appreciate and realize that there's merit in a lot of different roles. So find something that you're passionate about and go after it. And if you go after it and you don't like it, it's okay to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today, Shawn. Great advice, great talk. And once again, he is the business development representative for Loves Travel in nationwide company. So that is big man right there. So thank you so much, Shawn. We really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome, Brian. Thank you. And I hope this was beneficial. Thanks.